Hi, this is Matthew again to do another Who albums in reverse order review. Now we're up to Tommy from 1969. I believe it came out May 19th here and May 23rd in the UK. I'm not sure what the difference, why there's such a discrepancy, but I know things didn't move as quickly as they do now. Now they just come out pretty much at the same time, but it was like their fourth album, honestly. They'd had some money issues with them having to destroy their instruments live all the time. They were declining, I guess, some in popularity, which it's hard to think of now. They almost broke up, I guess. There was some real issues going on with that, just money not being there. And Pete Townshend was tired of writing regular singles, wanted to do something different, and he'd already written something kind of concept-y on a quick one while he's away on that album, and then there's another one on the Who Sell. The next to review will be the Who Sell Out. There's a song there also where both of those took little fragments of songs, made one big cohesive song out of them. And just trying to figure things out. They were into their 20s. I must say from 71, their voices sound totally different than they do from 70 on back, so it's hard to tell who's who sometimes on these, just because their voices change so drastically in like a couple of years. It's weird stuff for me to tell sometimes who's. Well, it's hard to tell. Pete Townshend sounds totally different than Daltrey. I can tell. Which is kind of weird. It's a concept album, a rock opera called Tommy, and it is kind of a lot of like existential, like stuff in your head type stuff, but about a guy named Tommy Walker who was born. His dad was in, I think, in World War II. They think he's dead. They think he's killed in action. I think he was a pilot or something. There's a synopsis on the Wikipedia page you might want to read. Probably can do a better job. And they've had different times where they've included like stuff about what it's about. They've tried to explain it. They've had little even stuff with the album to kind of explain and illustrate who's who and whose songs about who and different pictures to explain it. But Tommy Walker's born. They think his father's dead. His mom remarries. His dad isn't dead, comes back several years later, discovers that she's remarried. He gets mad, very angry about it, kills the other husband. Tommy sees it. They convince him he didn't see it. He goes into some kind of like trauma thing where he doesn't hear, speak, or see, doesn't respond to any kind of stimulus at all. Just kind of goes into his own world, basically. And he's tormented by his cousin Kevin, and unfortunately he's sexually assaulted by his uncle Ernie, which there are songs about. Kind of dark stuff there. And he's in his own little world, gets heightened senses, sort of like a thing, can sense vibrations, but gets really good at pinball. He plays that. They take him to a doctor. He can see stuff. There's something going on in his mind, and he keeps staring at the mirror. He clearly can see himself in all this, and eventually his mom gets mad at him for doing that, and she breaks the mirror. And it kind of lets his metal block go, and then he thinks he can be some kind of spiritual leader, and has a holiday camp and type thing where people can come and, I guess, get taught by him. People don't like what he's telling them, and they just leave him, and he kind of goes into himself again, sort of. It's kind of a weird thing. He was following this spiritual leader, and he really liked his teachings, and he wanted to make an album where this stuff was kind of talked about, and that's what Tommy is. His attempt to kind of get his teaching out there. I guess really impacted his overall being or whatever. And that's what this was. Did very well. Some really good playing on this. Keith Moon's doing really great technical things on the drums. Everybody just sounds great. They all, even though Townsend mostly wrote it, they're very involved in it. We're very excited to try something different. Recording took a long time, though. They kind of got annoyed with that. It took a while for songs to develop. And to get recorded, to get versions that everybody was acceptable, that they liked, that kind of thing going on with bands and stuff. Yeah, they did take it on the road. They omitted about 4 songs from it. There's numerous examples of this live at Leeds. Any version of that, there's a longer version where they also include the whole concert 2 days later. I think whole sounds better. This to me is truly a studio thing. They're playing it live, but it does not always work. Some of the venues don't sound as good to me. Stuff gets buried. And there are some live configurations. I did check out a little bit last night when I listened. I just used the regular album of this to listen to. And then I kind of pulled some stuff from a couple other releases that are streaming on Apple Music, just to get what some of the lives sounded like, check the remastering and stuff. But not much difference, but the lives, I thought there's some stuff at a soccer stadium that sounds pretty good. Lead sounds okay. There's some Toronto stuff that I thought was kind of buried at the time. But the soccer stadium stuff, there's kind of at the end of one of the releases. I'm sure they'll talk about when I get to the track listing. They sound pretty good, but it was from 76. So, yeah. Played longer, better technology, better sound systems. The Who did play Tommy at Woodstock as part of their show, which that got delayed by rain, and so they didn't go on until like 5:30 in the morning. Played to about 6:05. Right as they're playing See Me, Feel Me, which is one of the tracks, the sun starts to come up, which that's kind of his revelation moments. That was kind of fitting that the sun came up right as they're playing that part of they did play parts of Tommy at Woodstock. And during Pinball Wizard, a guy named Abby Hoffman came on stage and was unhappy with a guy named John Sinclair, who was, I forget what political party, what kind of group he was with. He managed the MC5. He didn't like the fact that he was being jailed for pot possession for a long time, and Pete Townshend didn't like the fact that he'd interrupted his trying to play the next song, and told him to get the F off my stage, get out of here, whatever. Hits him over the head with his guitar. He leaves. His guitar gets out of tune, and so the next song is a bit out of tune. It's a little disjointed for a bit, so they finally get back into the groove. But and he did. The next song, he said about how he's going to, the next person that comes up here, I'm going to effing kill you or whatever. So do not interrupt them while they're on a stage show. Obviously not happy about being interrupted by someone talking about things. But I don't think, I swear I saw some clip of him coming up. You could hear him off mic yelling, and then he comes up and talks about it. But I found it years ago. I can't find the clip now, but everything I see is not, you don't hear him until he's on stage. But I swear there's another recording. There's apparently a soundboard recording of the Woodstock show. I don't know how you find it. Other recordings of it, I know the Isle of Wight was available. I think there's some other bits and pieces of it in other places, but it's kind of cool to hear live. But I think the best is the studio version to me, just because it was set up. They used 8-track tape machines to record it. They overdubbed all kinds of things. John Entwistle's playing French horn again. Pete Townsend had learned how to play piano. There's some organ on this. All kinds of stuff going on. Very well received by a lot of people. Really, first thing like this that had been done to any success. They got out of all their debts because of its success and the tours that did so well, and it was a movie. It's been a Broadway musical, which I got to see in 2001 here locally. We put it on when I was in college. I got to go see it, and it was really neat to watch. I don't think we included the Fiddle About song where Ernie's doing things to Tommy. I think that's all we took out. I'm not sure if anything else got removed. I think some additional songs have been written for that and for the movie, which has Elton John and Tina Turner and people in it who were in the movie. And Roger Daltrey is Tommy. Kind of a weird soundtrack, but it is available. There's a soundtrack album. I did not listen to that. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I need to watch it again. It was on Showtime, and it was a weird sound to it when I heard it on TV, and just some weird like effects and stuff in it. It wasn't stereo. There, of course, that's available anywhere you can get movies. You might check it out. Eric Clapton's in it too. There's some other notables. The Who are playing on the screen, but I think I know like Elton John, I think it was his band that played Pinball Wizard. I think Townsend wanted Stevie Wonder, but they didn't get to pick the people. So I think their manager did all that. I'm not sure. I just read it, but I'm going to go through the track listing too, so you know what's on it, and try to see if they have any other versions listed. There is a Super Deluxe with some live stuff, demos. I think maybe some stuff that got left off demo-wise that they didn't use. There's a song of the Hawker Arctic to the Blind, which is a blues thing, I guess. They wanted to use one other one, but they couldn't make it work. But yeah, a different, interesting concept. So interesting how they took 4 albums to do a concept album, where it took the Beatles like albums like 7 to 9 to do any kind of concept-y things. And they were 24, 25, and Beatles were a couple years older past that. So yeah, very interesting. It did get them out of debt. You would never think that now they would have ever had any problems. But I guess everybody destroying their instruments on stage earlier in their career, which we'll probably get into with the last 3 albums in reverse order. But yeah, that saved they basically kind of saved the band in a way. It sounds like. Yeah, they performed all the way through 69, 70. I guess they'd started in 67 or 68 to record it, but it took so long. But it did get out in May. And there's been some ballet productions of this. There's been an orchestral version or 2. Lots of different versions of Tommy that have been out there. A lot of things to go find. Different releases and DVDs and Blu-rays and all kinds of things going on. But we'll go through the track listings. We'll see if it lists any other configurations. I checked out the 2013 one. I checked out a little bit of the deluxe, checking out different lives. I did go to Live at Leeds again to check some of the lives there, just to see what some of the tracks, like Pinball Wizard and like the last track, but just an idea of what kind of they sounded like, just the things I really like to hear. Pinball Wizard I always liked off there, and a few other tracks, but some really complicated like rhythms going on, instrumentation, overdubs, interesting uses of stereo going on here. So the drums move around. It is 8-track, trying to make everything fit into so you can hear it all. The drums move around. Sometimes they're in the center, sometimes they're on the left or right. Vocals move around like that also, but it gives a nice effect. But I like early stereo things like that. So it's different things like that go on in here. I think when Rick Astley, or when the Astley guy who's done a lot of the other works did it, he brought some instruments out that had been buried for a while. And Kenny Jones does play, I think he plays on the soundtrack, I think. A lot of times Keith Moon was making a movie. I've never seen any of his movies. I need to go find some of Keith Moon's movies. He did several movies, so. Kenny Jones is on the drums on some of this, on the soundtrack album for Tommy for the movie. So yeah, he did. He comes in early and then comes back. Go figure. Check out the tracks listings from the Wikipedia. We start with timings are different and tracks are either merged or there's been different track configurations of the album also apparently, so that's kind of interesting. Where people break the tracks down, so interesting to see how some are merged together. So yeah, we'll see what goes on there. It was a double album. I've only ever seen it on CD as a single album. I got from the library years ago, and I had to go to a thing, and I didn't get to hear the album. So my parents thankfully burned off the copy from the library, mailed it to me so I could hear it, and I had to send it back. Part of the album did not fit just because it was a 74-minute disc, and it's a little bit longer than 74 minutes. So a little bit of it cut off, but I got to hear it. I didn't get to listen to it, and I had to send it back. I'd been gone for several weeks at a thing in the summer, but that's how I first heard the album was through that burned disc at the time, way back when. That's how I first heard Tommy. was that copy that was sent to me. Pete Townsend wrote most of them. It was wrote a couple, I think. So there'll be some differences. Side 1 has Overture. Pete Townsend on vocals there. There's not any vocals here, but it's just a lot of it's like a regular Broadway musical where you play a lot of the main themes to something. I guess there's some, vocals here. And then we go to It's a Boy. Townsend on vocals there. 1921. Townsend with John Whistle and Roger Daltrey on the chorus. Yeah, that makes sense. And then Amazing Journey. Roger Daltrey does the vocals there. Sparks is a few instrumental tracks. This is the first one. Just a nice playing on all this. It's just, really interesting recording of this stuff. The Hawker, which is also called I Say to the Blind on some editions. Sent by Williamson was that they worked that cover into the musical. Roger Daltrey on vocals. That's the end of side 1. And then side 2 gives us Christmas. Daltrey and Total on the bridge. And then Cousin Kevin, which is about him being tortured by his cousin, which is horrible. John Whistle wrote this one and the fiddle about just they're darker. I guess could write a little bit darker material than the other two. Pete Townsend and John Whistle are on vocals here. And then we have the Acid Queen. Townsend, of course, on vocals. It's Tina Turner in the movie, which the first time I saw anything Tommy was the movie. So that was interesting to hear the original version with Townsend instead of Tina Turner. And then Under Tour is an instrumental. Oh, that's where he had the acid. The wife of the dad or whatever gives him acid and to try to open him up. I don't know, it's weird stuff, but that's the trip he went on is this track. Very weird stuff. Good album, but just very weird material, very dark stuff. Not a pleasant album lyrically, but playing wise it's really interesting to hear it. Oh yeah, it's like a 10-minute track. I forgot that. And then we go to side 3. Yeah, the original album was one of those record stackers, which I hate, where you have side 1, flipped over, it's side 4, the other record is 2 and 3. I do not like stackers. I don't have a stacker. I can't play them correctly. I hate them. My grandparents did have a stacking player, but it's not hooked up. I've never played a stacker turntable before. But I don't like these albums because they're very hard to play as a blind person because you don't know where you are. You play one, you play the record, you literally take it off, put it back in the sleeve, take the other one out, play it in full, and then you have to take the other record back out, or put that one back, take the one out you had to begin with, flip it over, and then play that side and put it back in. I hate it. I don't like stackers. I can deal with it, I just don't like them. They annoy me. I don't know if they changed that later. I don't own it on vinyl, so I don't know. And I don't know of a newer configuration that I'm aware of. If there is a new one, I hope they don't do that, because I hate it. Cool if you had one. That's cool, because it just does all the work for you. But if you don't, and you can't see what side you're on, it's a pain to use. Just saying. We're on to side 3, though. As I digress back to what I was talking about, I just wanted to make a note of that. If you do find it on vinyl, it might be a stacker. So be aware of that. 1, 4, 2, 3. As you look at it. Do you think it's alright is first? Townsend and Daltrey on vocals here. And then Fiddle About is the horrible sexual things with Ernie is doing to Tommy. Then Whistle wrote that. Again, darker material. He kind of, I think, could pull that off. That is John Whistle and Roger Daltrey. And Whistle is Ernie, I think, and Kevin on the other track, I think. And then we have Pinball Wizard, which I love that so much. That sounds so good with headphones. Yeah. There's all kinds of different styles on this album. You really need to hear it. I recommend listening to this at least once and see what you think of it. Headphones, or either a really good pair of speakers or some kind of a surround system, but headphones is probably the easiest. It doesn't matter what kind or if it's surround or not. Any headphones will do, but if you have you can sit near 2 speakers with good separation, it'll do the same effect, which I have done both. Yeah. Daltrey and Townsend were on the bridge on Pinball Wizard, of course. There's a Doctor is next. Townsend, Whistle, and Daltrey are all on this track in different spots. Go to the Mirror is Daltrey and Townsend on the bridge. Tommy, Can You Hear Me is all 3 of them doing mostly harmony vocals, some without harmonies, mostly harmony on this one. It's all 3 of them doing their harmonies. I don't think Keith Moon really sang, but those 3 did. So yeah, all 3 of them harmonizing with each other. That one, Smash the Mirror, is Roger Daltrey. Sensation is Pete Townsend on vocals. That is side 3. Side 4 contains the rest of it. And we start with Miracle Cure. Pete Townsend, Don Whistle, and Roger Daltrey all doing vocals on this one. Sally Simpson, there's a obsessed fan, I guess you could say. And she tries to go and see Tommy when he's doing a stage show, I guess. And gets up there. They knock her off the stage. She hurts her cheek and it bleeds everywhere. She has to go to the hospital, get scars on it, but she always really kind of loved him. He couldn't see her with all the stage lights going on. He doesn't see her. And she marries a rock dude, but she always kind of remembers Tommy. It's like the obsessed fan kind of thing. Roger Daltrey does that one. There's also a lot of double vocals on this album. Just give it more punch, I guess. Make it sound like there's more people than there is, but lots of double vocals. But I know early, people used to do that in the 60s just to give it, especially if you screwed up, you had other bits of your performance from another take to use. So you would just combine things, and so you'd have double vocals, and some things you would just do double vocals on. Like Ernest Holiday Camp coming up. It's probably 2 takes, but yeah. I'm Free is next, which I love that track. That sounds really good. That's Roger Daltrey. Yeah, Welcome. That's the one I'm thinking of where it's... it's... Daltrey's the main song, Talented on the bridge, and Whistles on the spoken word sections. He could play really weird characters really well, and he could do weird voices, so it makes total sense that John Entwistle is doing the kind of spoken narrations here. Tommy's Holiday Camp is Keith Moon wrote this one, so he could write a bit. Pete Townshend is on the vocals. Yeah, Keith Moon, of all things, wrote that song, so he contributed something to the project. All 57 seconds of it. We're Not Gonna Take It is the last track usually. All 3 of them are on vocals. Yeah, I know some places, I know Lives and Things will change some of that to being, but Listening to You is usually split sometimes. Yeah, it's about a 74-minute album. Oh, they don't have the other configurations on here. That's too bad. Just know it's a lot of demos and lives and just various live. Just, go look it up. Go look up Tommy. You'll find all of them. Apple Music, you'll find other versions next to it. You'll find them after the album and other albums by The Who. That's where I pulled up Live from Leeds right there. Probably because I knew I was on Tommy, and so it tries to give you relevant albums kind of close to what you're listening to. One moment while I pause that and get the phone. I'll be right back. As I was saying before I got a phone call, there's lots of other live configurations of this album. One moment. Yeah. Sorry about the phone calls there. But we'll go through. Of course, we have The Who as personnel. Roger Daltrey, vocals and harmonica, which is awesome. There's a harmonica on here. I forget what track that is, but there is a harmonica played. Detached vocals and acoustic guitar, electric guitar, keyboards, and banjo. Yes, there is a banjo. John Entwistle, bass guitar, French horn, trumpet, flugelhorn, and vocals. Oh, this guy was a band geek like I was. I do wonder about him. I'm very curious about him since he's played French horns and trumpets on things. I need to learn more about Mr. Entwistle. Rest in peace, sir. He must have been a band person or something. I'm very intrigued to know where he picked up horns. That is so cool. He keeps playing horns on these things, but I don't know that he will now. I think going back now, I don't know that he will be doing that, but he does it here. Keith Moon was drums, timpani, gong, tambourine, and vocals. I wonder where. No additional personnel. It charted very well here and in the UK. I think here it re-entered the charts like a year later. And I don't remember. There's a really cool instrumental version of the overture charted in the American Top 40 in 70, like in the fall. It was really close to the original. It was really good. I don't remember who it was and what they called it. But it's the overture to Tommy, and it was really neat. if you can find the American Top 40s from that period, that's where I heard it. I don't remember what editions it's on from that period, from that year. I have most of that 70, and the person stopped uploading them, so I was not able to get the last chart week, and then the ones where they review the album, the top, whatever, 50 songs or whatever, 100 songs from the year. I don't have any of that, but yeah, I did really well. I did charted very well, got them out of debt, saved their career basically, saved the band. Hard to believe they would have only had 3 albums. Now they've had like 12. This fourth one, was their pinnacle album. Got them saved. Got them. People remembered who they were. Oh yeah, I like that band. My favorite is still Who's Next, but this is really good. It's just fun to hear it. I love all the complicated rhythms and just intricate layering of things and all the sounds. The concept is interesting, dark in places, but it's a bunch of 24, 25-year-old people, made this thing work. I mean, a lot of artists would have waited, might not have even done it. But they pulled it off. It took other people a few years after to be in their mid to late 20s before they would have even considered this. But the Who did, and they made it work, and they were all involved, and I think they got annoyed with playing it. I played all the way through 70, and I think that kind of got on their nerves. They did play bits of it other times. Throughout the 70s, they've had some revivals of it live, which they're out there in different places. Just when you look up Tommy, those may come up in your searches. So cool album, interesting concept, darker, kind of introspective in mental things, but maybe I guess now you could think of it as being about mental illness in places, just and trauma and I guess PTSD even. Things that weren't really talked about in music as such at that point. Even now, I suppose it would be kind of tricky to some people. But yeah, an interesting album. The movie is kind of weird, but it's a weird subject, so it's cool to hear other people singing it. It's different. It was definitely a lot later. Go check that out. I'm going to have to watch that again at some point. I have not seen it in probably over 20 years. Yeah, I've not seen it in a long time. But yeah, that's Tommy, basically. That's my summary of it. Yeah, cool album, good album, but we will continue. Now, I don't know of any mono releases of this, because that was still a thing most people were doing. The Beatles definitely stopped that year too, so, but I think now the last 3 I'm going to have to look at mono and stereo versions and US and UK versions of the albums. I will probably use the UK. I may listen to the US ones too, because I think they would be a little shorter, potentially. I'm able to compare them, at least check out the tracks that are different and see how they arrange them, but I'm going to have to start dealing with US and UK and mono and stereo versions of albums, which there's only 3 of them, so if I do the Rolling Stones, it's going to be quite a few more of those, but I'm not there yet. But yeah, I'll have to start getting into mono and stereo and if they sound any different, and US and UK configurations, because they are available to stream, so I can check them and look at the tracks. And I hope the articles will let me know the differences so I can tell you a little easier. I don't want to have 2 windows open. I may have to have 2 pages from Wikipedia open when I get to those next. fun. Yeah. I think that'll do it for now, though, and I will see you guys in another video.